So, hi. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Today on the F Files, we have you've been with us, and we're both actually trying to get back in shape for the year 2022. And we decided that we were going to do produce a few videos together of our journey and what were different tips that we're taking to get there. We're gonna talk about, since we are trying to start our journey eating healthy, exercising. Today we're going to talk about tips. We're going to talk about ways that you could use to stick to a healthy diet, to stick to eating healthy, because we've both struggled with that a lot. So we thought that, and we've accumulated a lot of tips, although I'm not sure how that in my personal case has helped me. I feel like I've become an expert with nothing to show. You know what I mean? I have to work on that.
I can relate.
So start. And the next video, which is going to be in 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to talk about exercising. And so we have about like 5 points that we think are important, like when you're trying to stick to a healthy lifestyle or a healthy diet or healthy eating. And I'm going to start with the first. The first one is lifestyle. And personally, when we say lifestyle, for me, it's like a lot of the time whenever I try to lose weight or hop back on eating healthy, I always find like in my head, it's like, oh, I'm only doing this for 3 months or for 5 months. And as soon as I lose the weight, because I had that mentality that it's something that is not forever, it's something that is like a set amount of time. The minute I lose the weight, I tend to go back to my old habits. Because in my mind, that's it. I'm done losing the weight. I'm at the weight I want. So now I can go back to, I suppose, the habits that made me gain the weight. I'm not sure how that, I'm not sure what my thought process was, you know?
Say it out loud. When you say it out loud, it definitely sounds like you're crazy, but I can relate. And so many people can actually relate to this. That's the crazy part, you know?
Yes, exactly. It's like you never sit down to say, okay, like if you need to, but finally, after countless years of dieting, I come to this point. Well, most not because I have some light bulb, no, because I'm tired. I am tired of constantly having the same goal over and over. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that sometimes we think, oh, I should be able to lose that weight and get it over with. But that's not the truth. There's another thing about lifestyle too, is that your lifestyle change. You have changes. Like you gave birth a year ago to a beautiful boy, you know, and then you change houses, you know, and me, like I'm going back to school right now in interior design, you know, and sometimes it's because you change a new job, or sometimes it's just that you're not just in the right mind place, you know?
Just to touch up on that just a bit, it's just how I was when I first lost a lot of weight. When I first lost a lot of weight, I was doing the keto diet, but I was also going to school. I was school, work. So I was always moving around as well. It wasn't like now that we're in COVID state that you're always home and food and TV and everything
Yes.
is just, you don't get to move as much and you're just you're seeing the four walls of your house. So it's not really motivating either right now, and especially in the last few years. So that doesn't help as well. You're totally right in terms of lifestyle. That is what helps us keep going in a sense, you know?
Yes. And sometimes we don't, I think I know a big part of it, if not most of it, is like having like the discipline, having you make up your mind and you do it. But sometimes we underestimate the importance of changes that are going in our lives and the power of those things to disrupt us. And when those things happen, me, myself, in my case, I know I'm pissed at myself because I'm like, come on, you should have been more disciplined. You should have been more. Now, it's not to say that I don't have any say in that, because at the same time, you're going to find people who are going through tremendous thing and then they're going to find the time. But it's just that I have to realize that for me, these things are big disruptors. And whenever I'm trying to, let's say, go back to a healthier lifestyle, go back to eating healthy, I always look at my life because I'm looking for ways, because sometimes I'm looking at my life and I'm like, okay, if I'm starting a new job, I have to stress because I'm a person, when I am bored, when I am stressed, I'll tend to want to cozy up with my little food that I like, you know, it's my perfect way to unwind, you know, so I take the time to take a look at my lifestyle, which I wasn't doing before, to say, okay, you know what, I'm just starting a new job. Like I know, for example, right now, that's why I wanted to start back on my healthy eating before I started school, because I know once I start school, it's going to be another type of stress. And I had really bad habits that were linked to stress at school, actually. And I'll talk about one of them later during the points that we're going to see. But just to go back to that point, is that make it a lifestyle. Now I'm at a point, at first it was very depressing, because I was like, oh my God, I could see all the rice and beans leaving my life forever, and bread. And after I was like, no, because if it's something that you're going to do forever, there's going to come to a point where you're so used of doing it that it's your default mode. So even if you're gonna be able to eat, I don't know, some bread there, some this here, you know, and there's no bad food, okay, but certain food to certain people are like kryptonite. So for me, it's mostly like carb, because I'm a carb. I could eat only carb for days and years to come. So I'm like, it's not like, since it's forever, then if I fell off my diet wagon, I'm not gonna kill myself. Whereas if I know I only have 3 months, I fell off, like that's the end of the, you know, because it's like, oh my God, it's gonna make me late in my goals, you know, we all know what it feels like to lose weight for summer or you know, so that's the thing. So the minute I told myself it's a lifestyle, it calms me down in a sense that, okay, this is something I'm gonna do forever. And if it's something I'm gonna do forever, falling off is to be expected. The only thing that matters is that I get back on it, and I put like and I take steps to see what happened, why did this happen, and how I can correct this next time. So I think that's what I wanted to say about lifestyle. Well, to you now, back to you, Evelyn.
That's a really great point, honestly, Fabian. Now that I'm doing the keto diet too, me and my husband, we had to sit down and say, this is for how long we want to do it. We want to do it for 6 months. How exactly we're going to do it, when are we going to end, and is it going to be for just this year, or are we going to continue throughout the following years? And we decided, yes, we're going to continue. If after we see that we are not only losing weight, but we're not feeling well of any sorts, we said, this time we're going to go and make sure that we have appointments after each 3 months.
Yes.
We go and try to see how is our blood, how's anything that might have
so
been
important. I don't usually do that, and it's so important to do, because that's a good thing. Because a lot of the time, personally myself, I've been like trying to get healthy, not for healthy reason, but to fit in my clothes. So a lot of the time, even if sometimes I've done diet that were detrimental to my health, to my energy, but if I'm losing weight, it's all good. That's why I was so annoyed. People were like, oh my God, watch if you sleep well, if you have energy. I'm like, I don't need energy, I just need to be skinny, you know?
My mother-in-law, she has done this to me and my husband for every time we decided to do anything. It's like, it's not healthy. Do you know how bad diets are? Every other year, another diet comes out, you try new things, it's not good for your body. So she's the one who actually introduced this to us. We're like, so that we can prove her wrong, that we're doing the right things for ourselves and we're doing keto, we are going to get checked. We're going to show her all the results and shove it in her face, you know?
But it is so important, like you said, because I never do that. I don't do that. I never check, like, what's the effect of this one on my blood pressure, on my energy, on my this. I never check, because it's like my only thing to measure, my only measurement tool is like my clothes, and then the scale. Well, it should be one of those tools, but you know what, the alternate should be like, if like your results are showing improvement, you know, your energy, you know, your focus and stuff like that.
Yes, but there's other ways to also measure it that I feel like we don't do, like literally take pictures, or because when you lose weight, it's different. Sometimes it's not going to show in a scale. Like for example, for me when I'm doing keto, it doesn't show much on the scale as much as it shows on my body when I take a picture, when I try to grab a bit of the fat here and there, because I'm losing a lot of water weight, and that's not heavy, you know?
Yes.
So that also, we have to look at different ways to measure it. That's not gonna make us feel like, oh, if we didn't lose any weight, oh, that sucks, you know? And that's something that we knew we should definitely look into.
Where absolutely, like today I found a pair of pants that I used to, when I bought these, I was like, oh my God, they are so big. And they used to be so big on me. But now, and the funny thing is that when you gain a lot of weight, your eyes, you get accustomed to see yourself at a certain weight, and you don't get alarmed anymore past a certain point. Do you see what I mean? Because I grabbed a pair of pants that I had and I was like, oh my God, look at that. And then now I find it, compared to the size I'm wearing now, I'm like, oh, it's relatively small. Why did I ever think this was big? But I'm like, hello, this is not good for you. And at first I was like, oh, I'm accepting myself. I'm like, no, this is the kind of acceptance that you don't want, because next thing you know, you're in a little box, like 6 feet under, accepting yourself. Well, not accepting yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a problem for me too. I tend to buy bigger clothes. So I'm like, it's okay. My clothes will still fit. It'll still fit until it doesn't fit anymore. And I'm like, okay, Yuvan, stop it. Wake up.
That's not good for you. I know you want it to be, but that's not good.
It's not. But anyhow, moving to the second point, I do want to talk about how having a partner or doing the diet with someone helps a lot.
Yes.
Right. So me, I'm doing it with my husband, and I'm so happy that I got like 2 of my friends on it as well. So we're literally sharing recipes and we're talking about the diet. They seem more excited than I am. Some days I'm like, okay, come on, guys. There's no need to send me pictures of the coffee that you just had with butter. But they're getting excited, and it helps a lot. And they're talking about the changes in their bodies and how they're feeling. Oh my goodness. For me, that's one of the biggest things that I've ever done, and I'm integrating it this year. It's not just doing it with hubby. Hubby is amazing, but doing it with other people as well. And like I said, it's not just about the changing, the body changes. It's just the energy that it brings, when you're doing it with someone else. It's a whole level. I even have a new Instagram account that I started to follow, because the person that I introduced to the diet found that Instagram account. Anyhow, that's how good it is, it's interesting. It's nice.
Yes, it is. Actually, it is. And I'm doing it with Jerome, my husband too. But we've been doing, I think we both have the same problems. So that sometimes our like weak points are carbs. So sometimes Jerome would be like, I would be like, I don't feel like eating everything that I have. I want carb. So, and Jerome would be like, no, we have to keep going. And the next day it's like, Jerome is like, I'm gonna go out. I feel like I can bring potato and make fries. I'm like, no. But then as I'm trying to convince him, I feel myself, I'm getting weaker and I'm starting to picture. So maybe it would be good for us to get other people, but mostly what I've noticed with dieting too is that there are diets that if they're more current, they're gonna sound hotter to people to follow, than other diets that are not practically like actual. So I think Dukan, because Dukan, it's basically like you eat most of your food come from like meat, eggs, chicken, and then you can have salads. I think you can have other things too, but there's a list. And then there's a phase where you lose weight, there's a phase where you maintain the weight, and there's a phase where you just keep going. That's the part I like with Dukan. It's like they have a plan for every stage. They recognize that you can't just lose the weight and get it over, because that's how I go back to my initial weight. So you lose the weight, then you learn to maintain the weight by reintroducing a little bit of carb. And then after you have the point where you just keep going, not only you have carbs reintroduced, you have 2 cheat meals, and you still have one day a week where you do just protein. So this is something that you do for life. That's what attracts me like in it. But just to go back to the body system, sometimes too I do it with Jerome, and I think it's so good what you did, like you invite other people, because they put new energy into the goals, Exactly. And sometimes even if you want to create, like maybe with your husband, you can say, oh, let's eat something. But if you have other people that you introduce to it and they are continuing, like, how can you come to them? You know what I mean? Like, you're sort of forced to be, to keep going.
That's it. I'm telling you, the other day I sent a picture of eggs and broccoli that I ate, and one of my friends was like, broccoli is not really good for keto, keto before.
Like, come on,
The first
I
time.
introduced you.
Broccoli is not good for keto. I'm like, okay, yes, calm down. I'm just eating it once every 2 weeks. So I'm not sure, but I'm not eating it often.
So you don't have room. You don't have room.
It's good. I went back and I started reading about it. Okay, so that my friend was right because it's like starchy food. So I was like, okay, next time that I make broccoli, I will make sure that it's in exactly 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, just so I can make sure that she knows that I know my stuff.
It's like now you get called out. And that's what happened with new disciples. Like, it's like they are very like into it because
they're inspired.
Start,
Yeah, doing research, they're on fire, I'm telling you. But yeah, that is amazing to do it with someone. For that, I'm not gonna say I regret it. I want to continue doing that because, like you mentioned as well, not only do I want to implement it in my life as a lifestyle, but I also want to help others. I feel like when I see others are doing so well, it makes me feel good, and I want to do well as well. And if I surround myself with healthy women who are exercising,
yes, it is true,
working on themselves in their business, I feel like, okay, I have to get the same energy as well. I'm putting it out, getting it in. It has to be the same, surround yourself with these kind of people. And that's what I'm doing. And I love that.
Yes, yeah. It is so true to have people around you that are, because I told you I went back to school, and then now I'm even thinking like for school too, to buddy up with you, because I noticed a lot of girls at school were doing that. They buddy up to do their homework. They buddy up to do their things by groups. Because I used to have a class with a girl and she was like, oh, I'm staying until 8 because we usually finish at 6. I'm like, my girl, until 8. She's like, no, I'm not the only one because I have friends. And one day I stayed with them and there were like 6 or 7 of them. They don't have to work on the same thing, but you just get carried out by the energy of the group. And then even if you don't feel like staying because you're really tired after the whole day of classes and running around, but then there's going to be like 4, 5, 6, 7 people there, so you're more likely to show up. Even if you just do like 20 minutes of work in those 2 hours, it's still work that gets done.
You wanted to talk to me about something. You mentioned something about the flexibility earlier, and I was like, oh, that's such a good point.
Yes. So now we finished. The first we did, it was lifestyle. It has to be a lifestyle. It has to be forever. Sorry, folks. I know when you say forever, it sounds like you're dying. That's exactly how I felt, but it has to be forever. Okay. Take courage. And this is going to be hot forever and healthy. Not forever, but for a long time, And then the second point was do it with someone, the buddy system, where you're like, okay, now you introduce some friend to their way of eating, and now they're like more convinced than you, and they're calling you out, Mm-hmm. And then the third thing, it's going to be flexible. And you mentioned that how you get creative with what you're eating. You don't just stick to eating the same thing. Whenever you get bored, you just like try new things. Try to like have new life into the way you're eating. So you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I didn't even introduce the keto diet. Keto diet is 70% fat, I believe, and 20% proteins. Here you go. So you have a lot of fat that you're eating and a lot of proteins. So you can't eat, you absolutely can't eat carbs the way you used to before. Just forget about it. If you're going to embark on this journey, no carbs whatsoever. So you tend to repeat the things that you eat, right? Like the same vegetables get repeated often. So you have to go and literally look for other ways to prepare the same, like these vegetables, right? You can't eat the same thing. Like I know me and my husband, Dimitri, we cannot eat the same thing every day. We just can't. So we get very creative. We mix things up, whatever we want to cook. If it's pork, if it's, we eat a lot of meat. Here we go. Meat is one of the biggest part of this diet. And I used to not like meat as much. Really? So having to find different ways to create it is, to create dish, it is perfect for me.
And thanks, you said something important, because I'm thinking sometimes we don't know our diet personality. And it's important, because some people like me, I don't mind eating the same thing. I could spend my time eating chicken breast with mayo. Jerome does home mayo, which is really good. And then I can eat and at night I can have some I'm gonna say fake pasta, but fake is not faux pasta made of tofu, with some kind of meat, and I can eat that day in and day out until the end of time. But Jerome, after a while, he gets tired. He cannot eat like that. So I think, and sometimes at the beginning, for myself, I find that when I switch too much, I overeat. But with the Dukan, this is not something that's going to happen because you always eat the same thing. And what I like with the Dukan is that you can eat as much as you want, as long as you eat within the prescribed, like you eat like the food, like, you eat protein and some kind of veg. You can pretty much eat whatever amount you want. And we all know that you cannot eat a lot of protein because protein is too satisfying. So you cannot eat a lot. How many chicken breasts can I eat before like I explode? You know what I mean? So and I've tried, I can tell you I've tried. So that's the thing too. So I feel like you have to know your diet personality, because if you don't know, you have more chance of failing. Because if you are someone that needs to have that sort of creative side, and then you're not aware of that, and then you want to stick to it, you go onto a diet that is too restrictive, that can cause you to fail, and you're gonna feel bad saying you don't have discipline. But sometimes it's not even a question of discipline, it's a question of not knowing yourself, not knowing your diet personality.
Such a valid point, because this is my case as well. Even though I'm doing this diet too, I have to make sure that I don't fall into the patterns of eating the things that I like only, leave out a few things, because you have to eat everything. You're already not getting enough of certain things in your body. You have to make sure to eat everything. So knowing myself, even before embarking on this diet, was a very important thing for me to do. I know that carbs is not good for me, for example. So I know I could handle not having carbs, because I will not feel bloated. I will feel so much better after having meals, that it helps me in the long run. It actually makes me feel good that I'm not having all these carbs. Just the thought of how it has impacted me before and how it's doing now, I don't know, that does something for me, honestly.
Yes,
so
yes.
That's important. Don't just start any diet. Are you really able to handle this diet? Are you able to not eat certain food for a long period of time, or even forever, if you want to think about that? That's important as well. We will talk about this a bit later as well, but this is why I also introduced cheat day into our diet.
Yes. But you know what? I was so now we're talking about like the importance of like tweaking the diet a bit, like for example a cheat day. And then I was thinking, I smile because I read once that person, I'm not denying the cheat day. I mean, if it weren't for cheat day, I don't think I would still be alive for all the amount of dieting that I did. You know what I mean? So it was literally life-saving. But I was reading that some person were saying that sometimes when we cheat, but it comes from the idea of having good food and bad food. And I think there's no food that is inherently bad. It depends on our own body, body construction, and then it depends on how we make it too. Okay, and how often do we eat it? Stuff like that. But then, so he was saying that person was saying that no, you're trying to eat better, feed your body better, but then to please yourself, you go back to your like not destructive, but you go back, because it was like, you sit and think about it. It's like in your head, the diet is the punishment while it's supposed to be good for you. So whenever you need a break, you take a cheat day to go back to those things that you're trying to, But I'm not criticizing, because I'm telling you, this is the reason why I'm still alive. But it's just like, it makes sense.
I have so much to say about this point, because I did the keto diet in 2019. We did it for 4 months approximately. I lost all the weight that I wanted to lose. I was looking great and happy, but we did it like the dirty keto. We ate a lot of unhealthy fats. We went to A&W and literally had like a burger. Instead of the bun, we just had the lettuce wrap. So we were just all over the place, and we didn't have cheat days then, because we're like, we're not doing it really well anyways, and we're still enjoying certain foods that we're not supposed to eat. So from that experience to coming into now and adding the cheat day, it's different. The way we also do our cheat day, I will even provide pictures, because we just did one last week. We also make sure that we don't reintroduce these disturbing things that our body doesn't like. We don't introduce, we introduce carbs, but not, for example, rice. I will not be eating rice on my cheat day. No, like I said, it's a lifestyle. I decided to do this for this amount of time, and I'm gonna have no choice. We introduced a little
What do you eat as carb?
We had just a bit of potatoes. What else did we have? Usually, when you buy a plate of potatoes, it comes for one plate for one person, but we had like one plate for two of us. Plus, we had like a little bit left so that we could feel good about ourselves. We're like, okay, we still enjoy ourselves, but we were able to restrain ourselves. I don't know how it's gonna go the next few times, but for the first time, well. So that's it. We had that, and the worst thing that we should not have had, but we did. When we don't even do this diet, we don't even have donuts in our house. We don't have donuts. We don't have Timbits. But for some reason, my husband was passing by.
because now he can't have it, so he wants it.
He was like, I'm gonna bring Timmy's home. I'm telling you, when I brought Timbits home, like maybe 4 months ago, he was so upset with me, and he was like, what are you eating? I'm not gonna say the word, but we actually bought a box of Timbits home, and we finished that box of Timbits together.
Because now
I'm talking about restraint, but that was like the worst thing we could have done, right? But like I said, we try our best. This is about dieting too. You're not going to succeed at everything, but we know what we did wrong this time, right?
Yes.
We're not bringing no Timbits back home.
That was your first mistake. And maybe may I advise Dimitri to take a different road next time? Try to see if you can find an alternate route to avoid this restaurant altogether. Because he say to himself, I'm just passing by. Next thing you know is he has a box of Timbit in his hand, I don't remember anything as a blink.
I'm laughing because it's not even on the way. That's the funny part. He went to pick up our son, which is another direction. I don't know how he ended up there.
Now, you know what I say? I say it's premeditation. He planned this,
Exactly. But this is it too. So that's why I'm saying I have a lot to say, because that person that you listen to is right in a sense that you don't just reintroduce all these things that it's not good for your body back.
And while you're saying that too, that's what realized me and Jerome, because we try to do a cheat day every 2 weeks. And then, so the last time we did it, we went and I think we got Haitian food. Haitian food is not too bad in a sense that as long as you don't take a lot of fried things, it's mostly rice they do with beans. It's the quantity, that you're gonna eat. That's the thing. And then, but Jerome, I took like white rice with what they say legume. So it's a bunch of like vegetables that they cook, and then I took like bean sauce, so it was besides the amount of rice, but it's not bad. But I know that I ate a lot, because they gave a lot. But Jerome took pizza, and Jerome took bread, some type of bread, because he went all out, which I understood because that's what he had been craving. But after we realized he became so bloated. I was slightly bloated, but he became so bloated. Then the next time he wasn't feeling well. So we sat down and we were like, you know what? Next time we have that, why don't you still make the burger bun that you used to make? You buy a nice flour, you make the burger buns, and we buy the meat. We make our burgers, we buy the potato, we slice it, we make it, and it costs us less, and we can control the amount of fat, the amount of salt. It's homemade, it's good. Or even I can just make some rice and beans, and we eat something else. You know what I mean? It doesn't, and we can just buy a piece of cake or we can make it. But at the same time, we cheat, but this is things that we make ourselves,
Yes.
Because after that, and the thing is, every time you cheat and you go so low, like pizza and this and that, and me too, big rice, it makes it a bit difficult to hop back on.
Yes.
Because it's like you're trying to win your body of something, and then every time your body is ready to unplug, you give your body a taste of it.
Exactly.
So you reintroduce, that thing again. So your body now is having to start over. These are all out. Doesn't mean that I won't have my 3 days, and I can't even promise I will not have a pizza. But it's just that thought that we had, that we've been thinking, that we were like, okay. So with that thought, Jerome had a recipe for burger, and then that he was doing, so we kept doing it, we kept refining it, and now Jerome has a recipe where he can make burger bun, which we'll share, based with milk, with sort of like powdered milk and eggs, and it's so good. And that's what we eat now. Every night we have our burger. So that makes us, it helps us not to feel deprived that we're not gonna have this, we're not gonna have that. And if we have to cheat, we'll just make 2 breads and we'll eat them, but we'll put a salad besides it, you know? Yeah. And we want, if we have to have dessert, like it's the same thing to me too. You say cheat day. Sometimes you have to learn, we said flexible and cheat day. Cheat day is a way to be flexible too. Because look, when I went back to school, I was stressed because I was like, oh my God, I used to have so many bad habits. Like I know every day I used to go and buy those little bags of sour bonbon. How do you call it? Sour mix? Sour. Yeah. And I would eat them, you know, every time I have a stressful class, I would just bring them and I eat them. It made me feel so good, you know, or every day I would buy a bag of chips when I get to the metro, because to me, it's like, I'm done with the classes for the day and I'm good, relaxing, I'm going home. So, but what I didn't realize is that I was building a very bad habit. It made me feel good, but these are hard to lose. So what I did, at first I tried to cut it off and I ended up buying 2 bags of chips instead of 1. So after I ate them, I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat them, but I need to figure this out. So what I do now, I brought myself for the sour mix. What I do, I bring myself fruit. I'm not allowed technically fruit on Ducamp, but you know what? I know I love pears, so I bought 4 nice juicy pears. You know, and what I do, I bring them with me and I bring some nuts. Sometimes I just bring the pears. And whenever that sour mix thing hit to eat, I feel like, I should get a sour mix. I bring out my pear and I eat it, and it's something sugary and so it's sort of helping. I haven't found a solution yet for the chips in the afternoon, but even for the chips, I realized that it's mostly as well because I eat at 12 and I go to my classes. Usually it's like 1 o'clock to 4 or 5, or even 2 o'clock to 6. So I have like 4 hours I haven't eaten. And then sometimes after the class, I don't know if it's the energy or the whole day, I have the whole day in my body, I'm kind of hungry because I don't usually have a heavy lunch. So I'm like, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm gonna eat my lunch later because we have a break at 2. So I can have a coffee and eat my lunch later. That way I find myself more full when I'm leaving class. So I have less of a tendency to go and buy chips, you know? So these are all ways, like I was thinking, just like in a sense, because sometimes when you have bad habits, you think of, I have to get rid of this, I have to break it. But sometimes it's hard after doing something for so long to just go and break it. It's easier to replace a bad habit than to break it. So I'm trying to replace that habit by something that, like I'm telling you, I'm not allowed fruit on the Ducamp, but I said, what's worse? The bag of chips, the bag of sour mix, or a nice fruit? So I said the fruit is less. So I took the fruit.
Amazing. I'm just so proud that you did that.
Oh, thank you.
Many of us because so many of us don't do that. We're not flexible and we don't think of like how to change one habit for the other. Like it's crazy. I was reading a lot about habits as well. And I literally had to replace TV for exercise.
Oh my God, that's a big one too. If I remove the amount of time I watch TV, I could fit in like yes, that's a big one too.
I decided not to just change it with one thing because I would feel maybe exhausted if I want to watch TV. I decide to exercise, but no, sometimes I do like literally just a few squats just before I watch TV. And I have a brand new idea of something else that I could be doing that I didn't think of, that I had forgotten in my head.
That's so good. Because sometimes myself too, somebody once told me that, but I told myself, it's only just a few squats. Why would I do? It's only just a few. Why would I do? It's not enough. That's why I've dropped out of the exercise wagon, because I'm like, oh my God, I don't have the energy to do half an hour weightlifting. But I could have done 10 minutes. Oh, it's not enough. Then I won't have the result, you know. I want to do the 30, but I know I won't do it.
10 minutes every time. 10 minutes now, 10 minutes, 2 hours from now, if ever you feel like doing the same bad habit again, that's going to make it 20 minutes. Do you understand?
It is true, because I can attach, it's such a cool way. I can attach a good habit to the bad habit.
Yes. This is something that really is helping me this year, honestly. I feel like after I read that, what was it called? Atomic Habits or something like that. After I read that, I felt like, okay, you know what? There's some things you can take from it. Some things, you know, it's not going to apply to you. Don't even try. But
yes,
in a sense, I try to be very flexible and figure out the type of person that I am.
Yes.
And this is it. I had to give up Korean dramas. It's okay. It's not going to kill me to give up Korean dramas for a year. Yes. But I decided for 1 year, because I'm like, yeah, I have to make it a lifestyle. But after a year not watching it, I think I'm not even going to go back. I'm not going to think about it anymore, you know?
But the thing is, you think that you won't be able to live without them. It's because you're just in that circle, in that mind, in that doing it every day. Sometimes it's not even because you love it. It's just that it's like it's part of your routine now, that you do that every day, you know?
Yeah. So let's just move a bit forward as well. In terms of obstacles, I feel like we didn't talk a lot. We talked about what's going on for us, like our habits and stuff. But I feel like one big obstacle for me as well, just like you mentioned, lifestyle, that itself is an obstacle in its way. But within my lifestyle is me going back to work, you know? And I'm thinking, like right now I have this plan. I've been home for a year. I started exercising and eating right last month, actually. That sounds pretty bad. You've been home for a year. This is when you decided to do it.
Some people are still on that wagon. So at least you left it. You stepped off.
True. So the big obstacle that's coming in is my son's daycare and me going back to work. So this last few weeks, I was like, right before I go back to work, I'm going to try to introduce my healthy lifestyle even harder, because my son's not going to be home. I'm going to have time to do A, to do B, and C. No, the past week he has been home, and he will be home next week as well. So I felt so frustrated, because I was like, I put that plan, you know.
Yes.
The tiny things we don't account for are also a huge obstacle for us, and we really need to start thinking about how we're going to move forward from that.
And not only move forward from it, because it's a different way to talk about lifestyle, but I started thinking about that because I was trying to give myself room to breathe, not to be constantly, oh, look at you, you're a loser, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And then I know some people may think, oh, it's still a losing habit, because no, I had to stay and say, okay, you know what? I know I said I'm going to do this thing for this and that, but things happen literally. I can't guarantee that, you know what? Now, like you said, now I'm doing all of this. But after I put in 8 hours, you know, at work, I go and grab my kids, you know, yes, there are days where I can have even more energy and I can do this amount. But if there are days I can just do 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I have to be able to take that into account, the lifestyle changes and everything, and cut myself some slack and not be constantly on my back to say, oh, you failed yourself. You know, that's how I started thinking about this. I'm like, you know what? Yes, I'm going to do this forever. I'd like to. But things are gonna happen. Like the other time, Friday, I went to a gallery opening. Not opening, but they call that like artist center, where they have many artists that are showing their on their work, because I have a teacher that is teaching a class for us, and we have visual art students. So these students, they take them regularly to go see these type of event. So she was like, hey, we should do more with you guys. So if you wanna hop in, you're welcome. So I was like, okay, I'm not working on Friday, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna wait to see how I feel, but I put a reservation and I went. But then I ate something in the morning. My plan was to have time to get there early enough to eat something. There's a little restaurant where I could have a nice soup. I'm not allowed pumpkin and duncan, but instead of going and say and eat rice or other sandwiches, I can have a small bowl and I can have a small like latte, you know. So my plan was that, but I got there short of time. By the time I wanted to go grab a coffee, people started coming in, so we had to leave. And then once I finished, I was talking to exchange with a couple of people. I forgot. So I went straight home. Well, Jerome, who thought I told him I was going to eat something, he ate something. But when I got home, you know what happened? There was nothing ready. I said, Jerome, okay, let's eat now. If I was eating by myself, I would say, okay, instead of going and eat plenty of things and wait for to make a meal, let me just eat now. Mm-hmm. If I'm hungry later, I can have a milk or something, but let me just eat now. Because sometimes we're like, oh, I'm just gonna eat a little thing and I can eat later. No, if you're hungry now, eat your meal now. But John was like, I'm not hungry because you told me you were gonna be there. So guess what? There were 2 ramen left, industrial thing. I hop on them actually, and I forgot myself. I forgot the day. I forgot who I was. I forgot if I were in the Dukan. I ate one. John was like, eat one. I was like, yes. Next thing I know, I ate 2, and I grabbed some other stuff. I ate some fruit. You know what? And after I was like, oh my God, I felt so depressed because I weighed myself and then I lost weight. So I was like, oh my God. So I'm pretty sure I gained everything. Because I'm like, you know what? Next time I know that I didn't plan. I know. If I had planned, I knew my appointment was at 2. I should have got there at 1 to have the time to eat something, but I didn't plan it like that. So it's normal because I didn't plan. And then I was able to move on. I said next time. And then I was like, you know what? When I came, I could have had a salad, but I was like, oh my God, I'm too lazy to go and cut the veggies. I'm like, you know what? Maybe next time I'm making a salad, I can cut veggies in advance. I can make a bit of like vinaigrette in advance. That way, when I get home in times like this, even the day before, if I had to just toss things together, I would have eaten a salad.
Yes, that is me. So what we do is very simple. No carbs in the house. You're hungry, you're starving. You have to sneak outside, put your jacket and your winter clothes on and go to the desk because you're not going to find it in this house.
But normally that's what we do too. But somehow from when I was in school last session, I had these 2 left because at that time we were like off dieting, we're eating whatever we wanted. I had these 2 left. In a sense, I am relieved that now they're gone and then I have nothing, but just to tell you.
Very good, because even though I say that, I remember that I had bought sweet potatoes to cook something for my son. Mm-hmm. I've never thought of the sweet potato. Even when I wanted to cook something for my son, I was like, I don't know what to cook today. I would wreck my brain. The sweet potato is far in the cabinet. And I was starving one day. Like I said, we don't have any carbs that I'm supposed to, I can eat by myself. I'm starving. And I kept thinking, what can I eat? And out of nowhere, the sweet potato came to my head, And I was like, you know what? Sweet potatoes is really not that bad, okay? I tried to convince myself in my head that I could just a little bit. And then by acting like I was making it for my son, I could just have a bit of it,
Yes.
I do understand where you're coming from. Like, even though we try to remove all carbs, it's not 100% possible because we have our son that still needs to eat proper food, right?
Yeah, and not just carb, but carb that are ready to eat. Because the ramen, I just had to heat it up in the microwave for 6 minutes. I had like brown rice left over. I could have if I had made brown rice, it would have been less dramatic because it's brown rice. You know what I mean? It's still better. Because now sometimes I think in terms of like, how can I diminish the damage? Because sometimes you're gonna do some damage. Like me, like now, John was like, "Are you buying fruits?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." He was like, "But you're not allowed because you see the Duke on this phase. You don't have fruits." I said, "I know, but what's worse, a bag of sour mix or the fruit?" I think the fruit is better. And sometimes now I take a pear with some nuts. And it is so good and it makes me like a dessert and I'm fine, and I can still, continue my lifestyle without just jumping on left and right. Because the thing is too, I have so much weight to lose right now compared to what I have to lose that I have to adopt that kind of mindset or I'm going to go crazy,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, one thing I want to say too, with the Be Flexible is the thing that before, what I used to do, if I hop on the scale, I don't see any weight loss, I'm panic, I'm this. No, since I know it's for a lifetime, I know, I doubt that if I live on to be 80, I'm not gonna be able to lose this amount of weight for the next 40 years. I doubt, You know what I mean? So it allows me to relax. And for the first 3 weeks, actually, I was so bloated. I didn't lose anything. I gained actually, but I didn't let that before. It would be traumatizing. I would just drop that diet. But because I have that mindset that is kind of forever thing, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe my body needs time to get accustomed to it. Anyways, now that's what I eat, because me, when I eat too much carb, it bloats me, and I tend to overeat. So that's what I eat. I eat carbs once in a while, but mostly I eat veggies and I eat different type of meat, poultry, fish. That's what I eat now. So it's okay, and then so I was able to give myself some time to see what was going on. But before, I would be crazy. I'm not losing weight. How come? And actually, I lost like 2.5 pounds. It's been close to 4 or 5 weeks I'm doing it, because, I accepted that, it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, that's really good. The waiting part, very good. I used to do it every day. I used to do it every single day when my diet wasn't even working and my plan wasn't even that strict as it is now. Though I say strict, I do feel like I'm still quite lenient. But I've learned not to do that. Like I said, I've figured out that looking at myself, taking pictures, seeing that difference, just that little bit difference, how I feel when I do one exercise, for example, to another. If I do it today and I do it in 4 days again, I'm lighter. All that little changes, I take it into account and consideration.
And even in your face, you can see. You can see that in your face, you're gaining back your chin again. And I'm like, even me, I'm like, I've lost my chins, so now I feel like my chin is coming out. Like, not lose. I had gained a lot of chins, besides the one they naturally gave me. So now I feel like so it's like it's getting a bit better.
And it's good to do that. It's so good to do that because, like I said, just like you said too, actually, there was a time that I tried to go back on keto, but I was also breastfeeding, so I was trying to also be flexible, but it wasn't working because I had to take more carbs into my body. So that was complicated for me, and I was gaining weight, and I was so frustrated, and I said, I'm not going to do this diet again. I was very frustrated until I took my time. I'm like, okay, what did you do wrong? What can you do better?
Yes. And also noting that, you just gave birth, and then the reality is you need a bit more carb to be able to keep going. And then you just have sometimes we are in a society where everything is so much, it's your willpower, it's because you're weak, it's because that sometimes we don't leave room for life that happens. Life happens too. It doesn't matter how much you wanted to lose it, but the reality was you need to take in more carb because you were breastfeeding, that was the reality,
It wasn't the right diet for me at that time.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't a question that you weren't able to keep up. It's just that sometimes we don't listen. Myself, I know I'm like that too. We don't listen to our body because our body talks to us, but because we think that we know better, we don't listen,
Yes. I was like, I was doing this diet completely wrong before and it worked fine. How come now it's so hard? Blah, blah, blah. But like you said, I took the time. I know my body. I knew exactly what was going on with me. And I was like, that is just not the right time. And it's ridiculous because I was telling my friends, I'm on the keto diet. Yes, I'm still breastfeeding. I'm figuring it out,
Yes.
But honestly, it did not work because sometimes the extra amount of carbs would just bring me back, and my body just can't deal with carbs the way other people's body deals with it,
Yes.
So that was it.
I think we're done. Do you have something else to add, Evelyn?
No, I think that's about it. You were telling me that you did your food journal or something like that.
Well, actually, I have to correct this. Not did, but I thought about it. I thought about it strongly, and I wrote a couple of things that I ate, but I didn't really do it. But I think what we can do for next time, probably, since we're still on the diet subject, we could actually do 2 weeks of eating, or even if just 1 week. 1 week should be a good example. We can start by tomorrow. We just because we're gonna be posting a next video in 2 weeks, so we could do it as a research part. We could just write down everything that we eat, what time was it, even if we cheat, what were we feeling, who we were with, and that because this day we can notice patterns. If we can find patterns, how we can like better like stick to healthy eating. We could do that for a week, and after we can have a video comparing the notes and so that we can do to correct that.
For next videos, we're saying that even before we post the video, we can have like a few just updates of what we ate or what we're doing. So I was thinking like yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, we said it's gonna be mostly, we're gonna take a week sample of what we eat, a food journal, and then we're gonna share our observations in terms of what was good, what was wrong, and how we can, whatever was wrong, how we can correct it, and whatever was right, how we can build on that.
Exactly.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, that's what to expect on our next videos.
Next video. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for being there with us and listening to us. And if you have other tips, other things that you're doing, please drop them in the comments, because we're trying to build a community around that, and we're trying to talk about different things that are hitting us up at, in our life presently. So so stay tuned, and this video is going to be available as well on Yuvlin's channel. What is your channel, Yuvlin?
It's called Yuvi's Art.
Okay, we're gonna put it too in the description box below, you know, and then it's gonna be available too on the F files. Oh, so it is on the F files, and the next, it's gonna be the same thing for the next one. So you can catch these videos either on my channel or on Yuvlin's channel. And also, I think you are planning on putting some other contents too on your channel.
Yes, I do plan to put some art content on my channel. I just want to continue that. I love painting. So I believe this video should be up there. Video of this art piece should be up there too. But that's about it. Maybe from time to time, update you guys about how I'm doing with keto and exercising. That's really important for me too. So I'm not expecting to put often, but I am expecting to update you guys from time to time. All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, like and subscribe. Yes, exactly.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.